So the last thing we gonna touch on is the wife,
Okay.
and then we done because he ain't got no kids. So
Okay.
okay, because I would get on his kids too if I could. But so let's talk about that wife. Let's talk about that wife. So let's see. Okay, let's see. Let's play this video.
Mandani ties the knot in a 3-day high-security celebration atop a Ugandan hill, but as the drums played, so did disapproval. In a nation mourning, some say the timing hit a sour note. Says more in our next report.
The man who is poised to become New York City's next mayor has made headlines not for politics, but for pageantry. 33-year-old Zoran Mandami, progressive firebrand, just wrapped a 3-day high-security wedding extravaganza at his family's sprawling estate in Uganda. Mandani tied the knot with 27-year-old Syrian artist Rama Duwaji, a union first blessed in Dubai and New York, now celebrated on African soil with cultural flair, music and motion. Nestled atop Buziga Hill with a panoramic view of Lake Victoria, this wasn't just any wedding. With over 20 special forces guards, cell phone jammers, and an invite-only guest list of international elites, the celebration was a fortress of festivity. But even as the drums beat, whispers of discontent echoed outside the estate, critics questioning the timing of such opulence during Uganda's period of mourning for a top Supreme Court judge. However, Mamdani has faced significant backlash from netizens and Ugandan locals for hosting a lavish 3-day wedding celebration, calling it insensitive. The son of filmmaker Meera Nair and academic Mahmood Mamdani, Zohran's life straddles continents and controversies. As he eyes City Hall, this global celebration marks not just a personal milestone, but a moment the world watched. Bureau Report, India Today.
Oh, all right. So now we back at the beginning. Okay, because we wrapping it up. Okay, so now his wife's family is from Syria. Now, when I tell you it's hard to find anything on that wife's family, I can't even find out what they do. I don't know what they do for a living. I don't know what their business is, but they moved to Houston. Um they moved to Houston when she was a child. Oh my gosh, did it really like not show any of the article? It's okay. Oh. So her family moved to Houston. It's just taking a long time to load. Her family moved to Houston and then they moved to Dubai. They're now in Dubai. So he had 3 weddings. He went to the Justice of the Peace here. Then he had a wedding in Uganda. And then he had a wedding in Dubai. So again, when we're talking about money, you understand what I'm saying? How many of us can have 3 weddings? But you're sitting there talking about you don't like billionaires and you think billionaires are this. It sounds like there's some money floating around. A lot of money floating around. And like I said, I was unable to find out to anything much on her family. But there was this interview that she did for this magazine because she's an artist. She does these illustrations of women of color, feminist leaning, left leaning, that kind of stuff. And it looks like, okay, all right, great. At least it'll show me. Yes, okay. Good gracious. It was all the way at the bottom. So I'll just put it here, and then you guys are gonna have to just find it because this article looks crazy. Well, I'll put the link. So just gonna read just a little bit of it, not too much. Definitely, I started taking my art. She said, "Does your experience in living in the U.S. influence your work?" Definitely. I started taking my art seriously around the time I moved to the US, which was 3 years ago. And this article is not even showing me when this was written. It's not showing me the date. Anyway, we're going to keep going. I'll put the link in the thing, which was 3 years ago. I went through a lot of changes around that time. So you can see huge variations in my art since then. I was living in GCC for 10 years as the America, she spells it AMREEKIA. For 10 years as the America, Kaya, the American. I'm fully Syrian, but I had lighter hair at the time, had Western ideas, and couldn't speak Arabic as fluently. But when I got to America, I realized I definitely was not really American in the typical sense either. I just couldn't relate. Now, I thought that was interesting because I feel like they have similar identities where their bloodline is from one place, but they're living in another place because she's from Syria, but then she moved to Houston and then now she's in Dubai. She's not, why are they not in Syria? So all of these things, I feel like they have similar identities where they're what I'm saying. And she also doesn't feel like when she was living where she's from, she was Americanized. They told her that she was Americanized, and then when she's here they tell her that she's not American enough. So how can people who don't even see themselves necessarily as Americans come into politics here in America? I'm just, and we're wrapping it up here, so I'm going to take this off the screen and start giving final thoughts. Mr. President.
Yeah, I think this was I mean, a great deep dive. I mean, you, like I said, there was tons of stuff that you wanted to share. Can you still hear me? Okay. Okay, good. Yeah,
Yes.
because my earpiece just went out. So you done drained all the juice out the earpiece. So that's good that we figured out what the feedback was. Anyway, it wasn't the earpiece. It just happened to be when the videos and the
Right.
share screen was on. So that's good. But
Right.
needless to say, there was tons of stuff that you wanted to share with me when you were doing this that you didn't share. So a lot of this stuff was brand new information that I had never seen. Um, Definitely brought back some memories. And things I hadn't noticed the first watch of Mississippi Masala when I watched it as a much younger man. Um, and some of these ties to his family and the empty symbolism of his campaigns and those tied to it. I think this was an amazing deep dive on him and who he is as a candidate. And just as I'm watching this unfold and seeing the stuff that you broke down and seeing the viral moments that I've seen on Twitter and the way in which he's run his campaign, I'm not saying there's a Trump like character in the mayoral race. It could be. I mean, there's an argument to make for Adams, I guess, and Cuomo. Cuomo does continue to run. Sliwa not so much, but he is Republican like Trump. But I'm saying all that to say, when I look at the way his campaign is shaped up and kind of what he's doing and what he represents, Zoran's mayoral race seems very much so Kamala-esque in how she chose to run her campaign, even though it was, a much shorter campaign with the time that she was given, but it's celebrity, it's celebrity heavy. It's a lot of empty, symbolic goofiness, viral moments that that are trying to fill in the gaps for substantive policies. And so as I'm sitting here listening to you break it down, so I was quiet for a little bit because I was just paying attention to what was being said and done on the screen. It's like I said, it's very reminiscent of what they thought will work for coming
Mm-hmm.
out at the national level, and we will see in about a month from now, um, well, a couple months from now, in November, we shall see what this pans out. Did this work or did it not work? And I think this is a great deep dive to give people a reason to take an extra look at who he is, who he isn't, what he really stands for, as opposed to what he says. And I think you've done a great service to our people, to this movement, to use this as an analysis um, to figure out who and what a Zoran Mamdani really is.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I know it was very long, but that be the problem. That sometimes this is why sometimes I don't do things, because when I tell you this was complete last week, but more stuff kept happening. I kept finding more things to add to, you know what I mean? As a matter of fact, I kind of just want to play just a couple of clips that I couldn't get to, that I thought I didn't have. Just a couple seconds. Let's see if I can find them real fast. I'm gonna try, because I can't believe that I actually had them, and the whole time I thought I didn't. Okay, so that was one that I thought I had, but we saw that. This is the clip right here. Okay, so we're gonna start it from about there.
I'll meet with anyone. I will meet with them and I'll explain why I believe in the necessity of raising the top corporate tax rate. And I'll also tell Bill Ackman that I firmly disagree with his attempt to dismantle diversity, equity, and inclusion across the country, because it's not only against the morals of so many, it's also against the
I want
actual
a
common
5 second,
constitutional
10 second, you
and
know
as
what I
it relates
mean?
to national
Button.
understanding.
Okay.
It's easy to be king of Kampala, big fish in a little pond. Why don't you try to be king of London or king of Bombay?
Because I was born here. I've always been Ugandan first, Indian second. I've been called a bootlicker and a traitor by my fellow Indians.
So I just, in case you couldn't hear, he's saying, how come, this is the part where I was telling you that he said, how come you don't go be, a top dog in London? How come you don't go be a top dog in India? And he was like, because I'm Ugandan. I was born here. I have been called a bootlicker by my fellow Indians for sticking up for black people.
Okello, Uganda is my home.
Not an emoji. Africa is for Africans.
He said, Uganda is my home. The
And you
guy
played
goes,
you
huh?
played this already. I saw this already.
No. Well, we're gonna keep going though.
Oh, okay. So okay.
Black Africans.
Do you know why we left Uganda? Do you?
They put you in jail.
After 34 years, my brother Okello told me, Africa is for Africans, black Africans. After 34 years, that's what it all came down to. The color of my skin. That's why we left. Not because of Idi Amin or anything like that. Mina, believe me, I'm speaking from experience. People stick to their own kind. You're forced to accept that when you grow older. I'm only trying to spare you the pain.
I just wanted to play that little piece, and it kind of is a good piece to end off at. So, Mandani's family has done this before. They've moved someplace and then they embedded themselves in the political system, in the economic system, and they found ways to benefit themselves and take resources for themselves and not share with the native people. We have seen what his family will do. We have seen that his mother has no morals. His mother has no backbone. His mother will say whatever for a check. We've seen that. We've seen that, his father is not far behind. So we see that the money, where the money is coming from, how they're being paid to do things in certain positions. You can't trust what they're saying. They're talking out both sides of their neck. Like I said, I know this was long, and I'm gonna start wrapping. I know this was long, but I felt that everything was necessary so you could get a complete picture of who this man is, because he's not telling you everything.
My infatuation with a black man's beard started in my childhood. Apparently, my father kept his beard solely at my request. I loved playing in it as a little girl. He looked so manly to little tiny me. So my love for a black man's beard isn't a fad. It's always been in me. The seed for this love offering was planted long ago inside of a little black girl who loves her daddy. Infused in this beard growth, spray and oil is love, admiration, appreciation, and God's herbs to foster growth, healing, and a touch of softness to the strongest, most powerful men on the planet. Love Bruck, evenmelanin.com.